Well, many thanks to Duncan for being with us today to open the conference. We're very grateful, of course, to NERC for their financial support and technical input to the work leading up to this conference and financial support for the conference itself. Before we hear from our keynote speakers, I'd like to provide some brief context for today's event. I'm Guy Duke, so I lead the business interface work for the Valuing Nature program as a member of the program coordination team. The Valuing Nature program has been running for a number of years. We're coming towards the end of the program. Today's conference, Valuing Nature Research and Innovation in Support of Business, builds on the wide range of work that has taken place under the Valuing Nature program. The program has run for 5 years and has received some £6.5 million worth of funding from a number of research councils, NERC, but also ESRC, BBSRC, and the Arts and Humanities Research Council, as well as from DEFRA. And the program has focused on getting us a better understanding and representation of the complexities of the natural environment in valuation analyses and decision making. And funded research projects have focused in particular on health and well-being. We've had 4 health and well-being projects, so health and well-being values of nature, and on tipping point issues. The coordination team, of which I'm a part, has led a range of events and activities that have supported researchers in making links with policy, with business, and with practitioners. So the focus of this conference is on the business community. And while we are focusing on the business community, there is, of course, significant relevance also for policy community and practitioners in both the public and private sectors. Our conference today has 2 main purposes. First, we're going to champion and review the business impact of the relevant research and innovation implemented under the Valuing Nature program. And second, we're going to look forward to collaboration between the business, research, and policy communities on a major new natural assets research and innovation agenda in support of business. Business activities under the Valuing Nature program are the focus of our second session this morning, so after coffee, so after this keynote session. And then this afternoon we'll dedicate to the forward look to this emerging natural assets research and innovation agenda in support of business. Let me just provide a little bit more background on how we've got to this point and how this emerging agenda is coming to bear. Over the last 24 months or so, at the instigation of our business interest group led by Peter Young and with support from NERC, we've been carrying out work to better understand what are the research and innovation needs of business in relation to measuring and valuing nature. This has involved 3 high-level sector roundtables with 3 key business sectors: the infrastructure sector, the land management sector, and the insurance and financial services sector. And each of those has looked at what is the current activity in that sector in relation to measuring and valuing nature, and how that is affecting business decision making. What's driving that activity? What are the barriers to greater uptake by businesses of thinking around natural assets in their decision making? And perhaps most of interest to NERC, what are the particular research and innovation needs of business going forward in relation to natural assets? Following these roundtables, we carried out a cross-sector analysis, looking at the commonalities and differences across those 3 sectors in terms of their activity, drivers, barriers, and research and innovation needs. And we also looked at if ACRI, NERC, and others were to allocate resources to address these needs, what might be the delivery options for that. Over the last month or so, we have gone out with that analysis, with that cross-sector analysis of the research and innovation needs of business to the policy community. We've spoken to around 30 representatives across the policy community, including key departments in central government, including DEFRA, Treasury, BASE, Ministry of Housing, Communities and Local Government, and the Office for National Statistics. We've spoken to the devolved administrations. We've spoken to arm's length bodies such as Natural England, Environment Agency, Natural Resources Wales and Scottish Natural Heritage, and also relevant committees and commissions such as the Natural Capital Committee and the Food Farming Countryside Commission. And the aim of this consultation was to discuss, firstly, the extent to which the emerging natural assets research and innovation agenda in support of business aligns with key direction of travel in policy. Secondly, which of the specific research and innovation needs that have been identified by business most resonate with the policy community. And thirdly, the appetite for collaboration on taking forward this research and innovation agenda. To what extent would the policy community want to engage with business and academia on taking this forward? And I can say that in general, we're still digesting all of that, but in general, the finding from those conversations is that there is substantial alignment, that most of the research and innovation needs that business have been expressing to us do resonate with policy makers, and that there is significant appetite to engage in taking forward such an agenda. Sorry, those are the key questions. Just last week, 10 days ago, we convened a cross-sector workshop also here at the Royal Society, where we brought back participants of our 3 sector roundtables, and we also brought in a sprinkling of policy makers and academia to give further thought to the research and innovation needs and where the priorities might lie, and also the delivery options for these needs. And we will be pulling together the findings of that workshop and the outcomes of today's conference to better shape this natural assets research and innovation agenda in support of business. So to date, well over 100 representatives from business, policy, academia, and indeed the third sector have contributed to our thinking on this emerging agenda. And we're delighted to see today so many representatives, particularly from business, but also from policy, civil society, and academia in the room today. Collaboration across these 4 communities, business, policy, academia, and third sector, is critical in shaping and implementing this agenda going forward. I'd like also to acknowledge the contribution made by many of the business representatives who, over the last 5 years, have sat on our business interest group, the BIG, as we call it, which Peter has so ably chaired. Many of our big members are present today and have fed into the work leading into this conference. So many thanks for this valuable input. And we've had, of course, valuable input from the wider programme coordination team led by Rosie Hales, who unfortunately couldn't make it today, and the Programme Advisory Group and Programme Executive Board.